Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, the mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, the lore archivist himself, Josh Finney.
You know, you keep calling me the mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, and I love it. I should probably get back to check on my village at some point. I've been away on business for a very long time.
Let me tell you, Josh, can I just like hop on a sparrow and hop on in there with you?
You absolutely can, because I have friends who want to go do it for the first time. But also, I'm hoping that like they have enough mercy on my soul and understand why I left to be like, here, we're gonna bless him with the 3 things he's been asking us for through 15 runs. We're gonna give him a scout rifle. We're gonna give him trustee. We're gonna give him the chest piece so he has the full set of armor. And baby, we're gonna give him Isa tomorrow when he beats Tanix for the 16th time.
Yeah, let's see. I think I need the chest piece. I definitely need the chest piece. I have the legs. I have the towel. I need the gauntlets and the chest piece is what I need.
Dude, I've gotten so many gauntlets and helmets at this point, it's not even funny. I was cleaning up my inventory today because I'm turning in all of my Crucible tokens right now. And Corey, I want you to guess how many Crucible tokens I have between my vault and my person.
I bet you have at least 1,200 Crucible tokens.
15,000.
Jesus Christ.
I spent a solid 45 minutes today turning in 5,000 of those.
Jesus.
I would be able to turn in about 1,000, which would fill up my inventory and my postmaster completely. I'd run over, dismantle everything. So I'd get around like 210 legendary shards out of it.
Jesus.
I'd probably pull about 10 to 15 enhancement cores out of it, and just so many fucking weapon parts. Like, if they ever get rid of weapon parts, dude, I've probably got like 40k of those.
Oh my god, dude, that's hilarious.
Those are never getting turned in ever. At least him, you turn them in like stacks of 100.
Yeah.
But holy hell, you do them 20 at a time, you do them 10 at a time, and 20 gets you an engram over at Shaxi. And man, I don't know if I have it in me to do another 10,000 of these. Like, if I have enough time to waste this week. But getting all those legendary shards, like, I went up probably about 1,200 shards today.
Jeez.
And close to 100 enhancement cores.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like trying to spend all of my old planet mats, which are like in the 4,000 and 5,000s at least.
Wow.
Like, I saw people be like, oh, upgrade modules are cheap. Upgrade modules are for alkaline dust. And I'm like, dude, I've got like 4,000 alkaline dust. Let me go buy some upgrade modules. So I'm maxed out on upgrade modules.
Wow.
I've spent whatever I can. I'm hoping to God that Spider just has these, like, lets me turn these in for legendary shards or something in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Because I will sit there for like 40 minutes just turning in old planetary mats for legendary shards. I don't even care at this point. I'll absolutely do that.
Jeez. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's terrible.
You just play a lot of Destiny, that's all.
Dude, I don't turn in mats. That's my problem. Like, planetary mats became like pretty much useless after year 1 or year 2. I think during Forsaken, they pretty much became pointless. So they just keep stacking up from me doing bounties. And I'm like, oh God, this is awful. I don't even actively seek these out anymore.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair, though, right? It's fair.
It is.
Josh, before we get into Tower Casuals, this is the first official episode that is not on the Boss Rush YouTube channel anymore.
It is. It's a weird feeling.
I know. It's weird. It's on my channel now. Before we kind of get into the show, we've always put the video and the audio out at the same time, right? We've kind of talked the last week or so. We're going to prioritize a live show, make sure it's a good live show for people who are watching, if they want to watch the live show. If they're not watching the live show, I'm going to prioritize the audio, right? Get the audio out as fast as possible, and then break the podcast out into pod clips, is what I've called them. You wanted me to call them pod chips.
I like pod chips.
Where are the chips coming from? So you can just sit back and snack while you watch them, or what?
Dude, they're crunchy, bite-sized pieces for you.
That's fair.
They're a snack.
They are. They're
a
just
snack that whets your appetite for the full course meal.
That's fair. That is fair. The pod chips comes from the other podcast I started that Josh was on the first episode of, Standard Definition, which is the show I've been wanting to do for a long time. thank you for joining me on that, Josh.
I enjoyed it. Thank you. We really like kind of threw it together because Monday had so much fucking news.
I know. God, there's so much news, dude. There was a lot. It was a good show. So if you want to check it out, it is on Spotify. It should be on Apple Podcasts sometime whenever Apple decides to get around to approving it. But Josh, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the Tower Casuals episode we have planned. We had a lot of community feedback, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns from the community.
We did. I want this every week. I enjoy this.
I do too. It started with George. What, 2 weeks ago?
You led a revolution. I want you to know that.
Mm-hmm. A guardian revolution. See what you did, George? See what you did? You look in my eyes. You see my eyes? Don't look at the big scar on my forehead from my 2-year-old. My 2-year-old hit me with a puzzle box, everybody. It really hurt. Left a hole in my forehead. Not great.
Poor Corey. No respect at all.
None. You know what? You know what's even worse? She left. She was like, "Ha! You suck." I'm like, "Yeah. Tell me something I don't know. Clean up your puzzle."
Get me the gauze.
Oh man. All right, Josh. What are we starting with? Are we starting with this TWAB?
I want to jump into this trailer first.
Oh yeah, the trailer. I forgot the new trailer. Trailer looks great.
Dude, trailer dropped Tuesday morning. I woke up, was extremely excited to see that. Because I know exactly what time they drop them. So I woke up, saw it, absolutely thrilled that we're getting what we are. This answers the long-running question of, well, what about those Cabal Centaurians that we saw? Like, they, in the Vidoc, they didn't show up at all in this past season.
Right.
Well, we get our answer here in this trailer. They are servants of Callus's daughter, and I want to. Dude,
she looks tough. She looks like she could, gore you with one of them rhino horns.
She's got fucking tusks.
Yeah.
Like, I need to know how to pronounce her name.
I know. I looked it up and I'm like, anybody got a pronunciation on that? Bungie, you got a pronunciation on that? No.
I have it playing right now so I can get this correct.
Let's see. It's spelled, I can tell you, Caiatl.
I want to say it's Keitel.
Yeah, I was gonna say Keitel, but maybe Keitel.
Keitel. I just listened to it. Yeah, okay. Empress Keitel. This is Callus's daughter. Like, first off, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, that's the biggest thing we got to talk about here. Is that Zavala and Osiris are meeting with Keitel, presumably in the tower.
First of all, Osiris and Zavala in the same room is like, it's a big deal.
Big deal. We've never seen it before in game. We know that it's happening this season because of some of the Bungie.net lore dumps they've given us.
Right.
Osiris lost his light, went back to the tower, was welcomed back with open arms. Like, this is a guy who was exiled, and he was welcomed back with open arms. He is serving as Zavala's advisor right now. Because Osiris used to be the Vanguard commander before Zavala. So he is advising Zavala. And this is a scene, we basically saw the flip of this in the Vidoc, like we were saying. And it's surreal that if they really are in the, because we suspect that they're in the new meeting room location that we're going to go to in the tower, the Helm. We suspect, I think it's called Helm. That's where we strongly suspect that they're at. The Cabal are basically, they're in the last city for the first time since we drove them out.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really cool move because this kind of signals that we're going to start making alliances beyond like just Spider, or at least that other groups are going to attempt to make them with us, because humanity is not as much of a pushover as they've thought for all these years. Like, especially like our Guardian has slayed literal gods, gods, space dragons. We've sealed time vortexes. We've traveled through time at this point. We've done a lot of shit. We brought Saint back. We literally changed the flow of time, and we still don't know how that's going to impact us going forward. Like, there will be a repercussion at some point for that. There will be a reckoning for us killing Aldrin and him coming back as the Crow. All these things, like, everything has a reason, and she demands fealty from Zavala, who tells her no.
Yeah, she says, dude, there's this really epic point in the trailer where, like, the music's playing, and then, like, she's like, bow, and then the music gets real quiet, almost to, like, a halt, and then you just hear Zavala say, he leans on the table forward with his fists on the table, he's like, no.
And you see the Centaurian step in front of Keitel. Like, they're about to fight him.
Yeah, and then you see, like, some lasers coming in through the windows and stuff. Like, oh, something's about to go down. Something's about to happen.
So, and then, I mean, we see, and we'll get to it in a second in the trailer, we see them later on. Both of them are on Nessus. I suspect that's where the first mission of the season is, a la the moon, us rescuing Osiris, is that we're going to have to go help bail Zavala and Osiris out of this, especially Mr. I Have No Light.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I swear to God, if this is the end of Osiris, I'm going to scream.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm very scared for one of my favorite characters right now.
Yeah, every time they go to kill a Guardian, it just is like, oh my God, stop, just stop.
Yeah. Please, for the love of God, please
stop. Please stop.
We're begging y'all. But this actually is going to lead us into our first question, which comes from Yodeler. Who, when we were asking for questions on Twitter, wanted to know how we felt about fighting the Cabal again.
I don't think it's a big deal because, like, I mean, yeah, we did fight the Cabal at launch, but that was like 3 years ago at this point. We haven't really had a major Cabal expansion in a while, you know? Plus, it kind of ties Callus finally into the story.
So that's what I was going to say is I'm thrilled that Callus is finally, like, we may finally get an explanation for Callus, because, I mean, if you didn't do the raids outside of the menagerie and one adventure, Callus, and I mean, even that adventure was just announcing that Callus was coming, and you saw the Leviathan appear after that, and that was it in orbit. Like, actually dealing with Callus, like, unless you did the menagerie, and even if you did menagerie, you really don't know who this guy is. And we had Keitel referenced last spring during Season of the Worthy. Her agents stole the Fourth Horseman and out of Zavala's, literally out of the Vanguard vault. One of Callus's shadows was convinced to come work for her, stole it, and then we go to hunt them down and get the gun back with Callus's help. He tells us where to find him. I think we'll finally get the explanation of where the Leviathan is right now, because it was just hanging out over Nessus, but clearly Nessus is still around for a reason. Right. I don't think it's just for a seasonal event.
Yeah.
I have kind of mixed feelings on us going back to the Cabal. If it wasn't dealing with Callus and Keitel, I would 100% have a problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Vex in particular are crying out for a major expansion centered around them, because we've never really had one of those, but I think they'll probably be the focus of next season with the Vault of Glass coming back.
Yeah.
This is, in my opinion, I think this is another way to take some existing zones and do something interesting with them. The Cabal were never on Earth before Destiny 2, so they'd never been in the Cosmodrome. And we see footage at the very beginning of Cabal ships arriving over Old Russia. I think this is an example of using some existing assets. I'm not going to say I still love this. I like the Callus storyline, and I'm oddly intrigued by it, because notice we're seeing Keitel in the flesh right now. We've still never seen the real Callus.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm convinced it's a scion controlling him.
Yeah.
Like a la the Wizard of Oz. I think this is a good thing. That brings that storyline back to some relevance for mainstream players and those who aren't reading the lore like crazy, those who aren't doing raids. I mean, even the raids don't add a ton to Callus. You're still wondering, like, why do we have to keep bailing this guy out? We've done it 4 times now.
Yeah.
Or 3 times. We've done it 3 times, and then he tested us once. Like, we're getting really tired of saving this guy for no point, but as Chronosaurus showed us, his story is going to eventually collide with Sabathun.
Mm-hmm.
And Xivu Arath. So kind of curious to see how that all comes full circle, because I don't think we're going to be killing Keitel this season.
No. Do you think this is like they're talking about, taking on the Hive? Is this like the beginning of a war between the Cabal and the Hive that leads us to Savathun? You think this is her like playing both sides and like finally trying to draw us back to the Dreadnought?
I'm unsure, because so this season, the whole narrative of Season of the Hunt was we had to hunt down the Wrathborn, and we had to start preventing Xivu Arath's forces from gaining a foothold. I thought for sure we were going to have Cabal taken over during that.
Yeah.
But with this seasonal event sticking around all year, who's to say that they don't eventually have Cabal being taken over? Because she does propose that. She proposes this in the trailer of us having an alliance to combat the Hive.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think that Zavala is pretty wary of it, but I like to think he would have said okay. But then she demands him bow. Mm-hmm. And listen, nobody tells Lance Reddick to bow, okay?
I know, dude.
It's not going to go well for you. Nobody tries to get the upper hand on him. It's going to go real bad.
Zavala is slowly becoming like in the top favorite characters for me.
Zavala has finally become cool over like the past year.
Yeah.
Like for so long, he was just boring and like kind of drab. Like we all made fun of him. But really, ever since, I would honestly say since the vanilla Destiny 2 campaign and then the Warmind campaign, his faith in what he believed has really been shaken.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's the one who tells us not to go avenge Cade. And then when we do it anyways, he's like, I hope you know what you're doing, because we don't know yet what the repercussions are going to be. This could lead to all-out war.
Right.
And there's a high chance that we go to war with the Awoken eventually when they find out the Crow is alive.
Right.
That alliance may be shattered forever because Petra wants his head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to be like, what the fuck do you mean you're fighting alongside this guy now? Mm-hmm. Like, someone who doesn't quite understand it. And I think that opens the door for Marasov to come back eventually, which, we'll get to that a little bit later in the trailer. But, yeah, Yodeler, ultimately, I think we're both okay with it. Mm-hmm. This is something that we both feel is going to... Now, if this doesn't move the story forward, I think that's when you have an issue. But it is going. They're adding a new... I know a new strike isn't a whole lot of story content. They're adding a new strike, though. That's not a reprised one. It looks like they're going to have a story that spans both the EDZ... Or not EDZ. The Cosmodrome, Nessus, and somewhere else. Because we're going to have 3 battlegrounds for this match-made activity. And we'll get into that with the season rundown after the trailer. But... I think there's worse things you could do.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't as half-baked as when we were fighting the Cabal that were trying to take over the Sundial.
Yeah. No.
Last year, that story was really half-baked, but it didn't need to be major because the major threat of it was, okay, yeah, sure, they're trying to take over the machine. We're trying to power it, though, to save Saint.
Right.
Go back in the past. And then we end up seeing our own death. We end up seeing our own future in the quarters of time. Mm-hmm. You had the threat of the Almighty crashing, but I do think it's been a sufficiently long enough time without the Cabal being a major threat. We've basically all but wiped the Red Legion out at this stage.
Right.
And this makes sense if you're going to have the Cabal continue to be in the system. This makes sense. We had the thread laid when Osiris went and investigated the Dreadnought prior to this past season when the planets were sunset in universe, and he goes to all these darkness areas. He goes to the Dreadnought. He hears a distress call that lures him there that is implied to be from Keitel.
Right.
And they're both deceived, ultimately, by Xivu Arath and Savathun. So all these threads are coming together, and I think this is an example of a more cohesive storyline than what we had last year. Last year, they were loosely connected. Like, the Vex offensive tied into Garden of Salvation, but not really into the rest of the stuff. The Sundial saved Saint, which led into Trials. But Season of the Worthy and Arrivals really stood on their own. Mm-hmm. Aside from the one Scion that escaped and went to the Almighty for whatever reason. That's it. Like, those two largely stood on their own. They led into Beyond Light and into Season of the Hunt, though. And I think this is an example of how you can have a second story going alongside of your main story of the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get back to this video though. Let's see what we have. The next thing we start seeing is when Zavala's talking about the tower, or not about the tower, he's talking about Keitel. We're seeing images of the Guardians walking through in just this god awful seasonal armor.
I know, dude. What's with these balls, man? Like what?
Dude, we're wearing butt plugs. We're wearing butt plugs on our heads.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so ugly, dude. Like, why? Like, just
so like I understand what they were trying to go for. It's very like 500-600-ish BC, like Persian Empire style. It's very 300-esque. It's very much like the Immortals from 300. If you've ever seen that movie or read the graphic novel, that's what this armor kind of reminds me of. But it looks so fucking goofy that you look like you're wearing a sex toy. I mean, is this because we keep getting fucked in trials or what? Like, it's so bad. I cannot emphasize how bad this looks.
It's so ugly. I'm sorry. It's some of the worst armor, I think.
And I mean, some of the seasonal sets have been pretty damn bad. This is bad. I'm curious to see what the ornaments ultimately make this set look like. I will be excited to see that because the ornaments are always a better version of the base set.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't like the base set this season, but I really, really like the ornaments with all the Ahamkara bones on them.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. This season's Trials armor is a grower, not a shower.
I want to say... So, I'm looking at this right now, and where the helm table is at in the tower, unless they did, like, some sort of mega expansion without any of us seeing it, this genuinely looks like it may be in the old tower. And I mean, the assets for a room like this were discovered quite a while ago, before this season came out, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
It's led to a lot of us during the end of season event last year going, oh my god, are we going back to the original tower?
Yeah.
And I think that theory is still up. I don't quite know if I believe that we're going to go to the old tower, but this is probably the strongest evidence we've had yet that this is an actual possibility in play that I think we will get to eventually. I do think at the very latest, by the end of this year, we're going back to the original tower.
Yeah.
Which, thank God.
Yeah.
We see shots clearly a new area on Nessus. It's for the new strike. There's a moving Cabal fortress on the planet.
Yeah, that looks cool, dude.
They're charging it with like the little mini tanks going at the big tank.
And then they show the Guardian getting on one of the vehicles and doing this sweet jump into like this battle scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm. So I just paused it right there, and yeah, that's cool. I'm here for more vehicular combat. It looks pretty clearly like some of Callus's statues here. It looks like the Bathers, and one of them, of course, became corrupted and became Galran. This looks very reminiscent of that. You got the purple tapestries on the ground, and then you've got some sort of Cabal warrior jumping out at you. We see the new bow in action for the first time.
The 3-shot bow looks awesome.
3-shot bow. I got to look at the real name of it again. I think it's called... well, shit, I don't even know what it's called, honestly. I just lost where I was.
It's like the first time I've been interested in a bow ever in Destiny.
I completely just lost what I was looking at here, but I am definitely here for calling it Boatin, because it's a triple shot and it tracks on top of that.
Yeah,
this thing's going to be the Scourge and the Crucible, just like every other seasonal weapon has been.
Yeah,
I love it. I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that bow looks.
It looks good too.
Yeah, it looks cool. The weapons that they showed off in this trailer look awesome. They look really cool.
We get Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber both teased next, and this very much looks like the classic strikes too. I don't know that these are gonna have an updated story like Omnigul did.
Yeah.
Because this is the way that they phrase it in the seasonal page. It's not like Omnigul, where they were just like, "Oh yeah, this strike's coming back. You have to defeat a Hive Wizard." This very explicitly says you're fighting Sepix Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the Devil's Lair.
Yeah, I mean they showed it, right? I mean they showed him it.
Yeah. The new event looks real interesting. The Cabal are on Europa, which they're not there as of right. I don't think they're there.
They're gonna be where that new landing zone is.
Oh my god! I would quit. I would quit. It looks like right now they're over on the pathway that you take to go down to the Glassway Strike. It looks like that's where they're at right there. And there's a lot of them, too. You see some of the new weapons in use for the first time.
Yeah.
Including you see an SMG, you see a Trials hand cannon, and you see a new rocket launcher all used at the same time, or sequentially. This Trials hand cannon looks really cool. We're going to talk about it when we get to the TWAB. We get actual previews of some of the weapons. That's cool. I mean, it's basic Destiny montage stuff that we see after this. Just
man, they know how to make a trailer, though. Man,
you see the Proving Grounds, which is always God, dude. This is so cool. Some of the new finishers we see, the Trials sword. And I was mistaken because when I'm watching this right now, and I don't know that they're on Nessus in this. Like, it's clearly Vex architecture. You see Keitel, you see her Centurions, and there's a Scion opening up a chest. And then...
Are you talking about the sword? The part where they're taking the sword out of the chest?
Yes. You see Zavala, but that's not Osiris with him.
No.
Who is that? That is our old buddy, the Crow. Fucking Crow is meeting up with Zavala this season. I don't know when we're getting this cutscene. This ties into the lore piece we're going to read tonight because he's wearing new armor. Buddy, I'm here for it. If it is us...
Wait, who's wearing new armor?
Crow, baby.
Oh, Crow's wearing new armor. I'm like,
Crow's wearing new armor.
I thought you said Zavala was wearing new armor. I'm like, wait a second. Wait, I need to see this.
No.
But
if we are teaming up with Crow and Zavala in a level, that just confirms something else that I've been wanting, which is us fighting with the NPCs in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
But that, God, it's so cool. You see us jumping through a Cabal ship at some point. Fancy new sword emotes, the Trial sword, you flipping it around for a finisher.
Yeah, dude, that finisher was cool. I'm gonna have to spend some money on Destiny this spring.
It's so rapid. Like, I've watched this so many times, and I still don't think I've taken everything in. New Trials Pulse, it looks like, which we got that confirmed tonight.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on. This has the makings of one of the best spring seasons in Destiny 2.
Let's talk about this very last part of the trailer, though.
All right, let's talk about it.
When you get to about 2 minutes and 6 seconds in the trailer, the trailer just abruptly kind of cuts off, and you start getting like staticky images playing.
What is this?
It's a very Dead Space vibe, right? You see, that's a Cabal ship floating out in the darkness. I'm going to play this a couple times so we can talk about all of it. You hear Osiris come in and say there's no light out here, right?
Yeah.
And then while that's playing, we have you have the Destiny logo pop up at the end. But if you're freeze framing this stuff correctly and you break it down, you can make out something that looks like one of the Scorn that charges at you and blows up in a suicide explosion.
Mm-hmm.
It flashes across the screen very briefly. which would be something else that people have been asking for, which is the return of the Scorn.
Mm-hmm.
That we have not gotten. You see it right before Osiris speaks. It flashes across the screen with some Cabal symbols. This is just so cool. It's a literal blink and you miss it thing. But I wonder if this will also tie in, because if a distress call went out, if it's anything like the distress call that went out prior to the Taken King, look at how long it took for what's his face, for Gaul to get here,
Mm-hmm.
and for Callus to follow shortly after. Like, that was almost 2 years in universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would make sense. What if they tried to go back and reclaim that beachhead on the Dreadnought? It found Savathun and Xivu Arath chilling, because we know that they're here in the solar system now.
Mm-hmm.
They found them, tried to send another distress call, and that's what lured both Keitel and Osiris there.
Right.
So there's so many different threads that this can go on. It's an awesome trailer. Like, nobody makes a get hype trailer like Bungie does.
I know. It's so good. It's so good.
I love it. Any other thoughts on the trailer, Corey?
No, like I said, I've been playing a little bit of Iron Banner this week just to get my Destiny feet wet again, right? And like this trailer is so good. Like, and I can't wait to get back into it. I'm just like, man, I haven't really been playing a lot, right? Because there's nothing really this spring except for Hitman, and I started dabbling in Destiny again, outside of like, setting up my personal stuff here. But like,
right,
man, dude, this trailer, it's cool. So
it's excellent.
Yeah.
Let's jump into a bit of a seasonal breakdown real quick before we move on to the Schwab, though, since we're already talking about this. New Empress, that's the storyline. Obviously, what we were saying earlier, Pyramids and Xivu Arath are destabilizing the system. Empress Keitel, leader of the Cabal and daughter of Callus, seeks an alliance, but she demands more than Zavala can offer. The negotiations collapse, and Guardians must become the tip of the spear that strikes at the War Council, which introduces the Helm. Designed as the ultimate Vanguard staging ground, the spaceport provides the resources Guardians need to face the most powerful of incursions. Here, the war table has been set. Meet with Zavala, acquire the Hammer of Proving, and orchestrate an honorable victory.
Man.
I am all here for this. This is another example of, we're going to introduce an asset that we can keep reusing.
Mm-hmm.
This makes sense to me. Like, if you've been rebuilding the tower, why would you not make a strategic operations center, right? Like, if you're going to keep sending us out on seasonal missions, I think this makes a lot of sense to launch some of that stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just story-wise, but like all together. Like, it gives us reasons to be in the tower, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want frivolous reasons. I want actual story-driven reasons. If I'm going back to the tower all the time, it better be because they need to talk to me about something serious. This would cause it to come back. Not just Zavala sitting at his fucking rail he's been at for 4 years. So I mean, I dig that. That's the story setup that we have. The activity this season is Battlegrounds, which is a 3-man match-made activity. We will engage in ritual combat against Keitel's chosen warriors. Cabal forces have taken up arms on multiple destinations. Prepare to defend the glory of the Empire. It looks like we've got them in the Cosmodrome, on Nessus, and like we were talking, on Europa. Are the 3 destinations. I think that's good. They're taking us back to Europa, because once you got the main storyline done, you got your aspects, things like that. Unless you're grinding out lost sectors or doing exo challenges, like, are you really going back to Europa right now?
Right.
Or like you're trying to like power level or something,
Yeah.
There's not a huge reason to be back there, in my opinion. The strikes, of course, are back. I like to say that I was wrong about Devil's Lair in this one. I thought it specifically mentioned Sepix Prime. It simply says, find and destroy the single exalted servitor that sustains the House of Devils in the Cosmodrome. We wiped out the House of Devils multiple times. Like, they are confirmed to be pretty much extinct in game, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them turned and made, Sepix perfected in Rise of Iron.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that went to Siva. So there's got to be Sepix Prime, right?
Yeah.
But we thought the same thing with Omnigul too.
It's true, and we got there, and it was not. So
I'm fine with doing reskin versions, but also it's like, if you're going to eventually bring everything in, I'd like to just play the classic strikes.
yeah.
I'd like to be able to play the story from beginning to end eventually, which leads us into our next question. I got to get pulled up from Rob in the Discord. Sorry, I haven't listened to this. I haven't listened to your show before, but it's possible you cover it regularly. How is the state of the game for a new player? I played some solo free-to-play a ways back and got through some basic progression, but a lot of the game felt inaccessible or obtuse without following the game and its growth for so long. Rob, I would say we kind of addressed this last week with a question from friend Todd.
Yeah, I sent him a couple episodes. I was like, we covered it in this episode a little bit, but we can kind of give a shorter refresher here.
Yeah, we'll touch on it real quick because I think bringing back the legacy strikes does lend to that discussion as well.
Yeah, but only if like you're telling the story of the original strike. I feel like I feel like that's the story that you need to hear, right? If it's just a reskin version, it's not going to be like, oh, whatever, cool, we're going to go kill a big ball, another big purple ball, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there needs to be some sort of... I think it has to be, because, I mean, we already have one servitor boss in Warden of Nothing. Like, and I get that's a unique one, like how it fights and everything, but I feel like that's got to be Sepik Prime. Like, when you talk about a strike, that's what everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows that, or they know Valas Tarak because of the memed opening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when we talk about this game, make no mistake, like, Rob, you're absolutely correct. This game is 100% inaccessible to people who have not followed this franchise. The storyline, like, you simply can't go back and play it anymore. The farthest back you can go is Forsaken, and we talked about that. Like, you're introduced, you're fighting alongside this awesome hunter, and then he's killed, and everybody's really mad. And it's like, if you talk to the player base, like, we're still upset about it. Like, we all connected with Cade and with Nathan Fillion. And you're like, well, why? And it's because we had that shared history. He was the only one who ever talked to us for like 4 expansions.
Mm-hmm. He's the only one that ever really talked to us in Destiny 1.
Yeah. That was a huge reason why I think Taken King was so good, is because we finally got that relationship with him and Eris. And it was fantastic, the give and take between those two.
Yeah.
And so to have that ripped out, I mean, like, we had emotional reasons to be invested. I don't think that... I'm going to keep saying this. I think it was a mistake to take out the base campaign of Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why they did, but I would have liked to have seen them, like, just retool the levels to make them, like, you have to stay on a linear path.
Well, like we said a couple weeks ago, like I said a couple weeks ago, like, take out you need to learn how to set up a patrol type story missions. Like, you could have done that storyline in, like, probably, like, 9 to 12 missions of just, like, straight up, let's go kill guys. You know, go here, objective, kill the boss at the end of the level or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they could have taken out, go win 3 Crucible matches. You know what I mean? They could have taken that crap out.
I think my bigger concern is, like, we know they took out the planets to save some space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for story reasons, like, so even if you were going to do that, I think you still could have kept those campaigns in there. Yeah, it would have added a bit more. Like, make it an optional download, like we've always said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're downloading New Light for the first time, have it auto-install, and if you don't want this, you can uninstall or reinstall at any time.
Yeah.
And give it optional for the rest of us to at least give us that. Like, Curse of Osiris and Warmind, I understand cutting those out. But, like, maybe just give us the strikes from those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep those in. Like, I still think that the strikes should be there.
I mean, like, 3 of the levels from Curse of Osiris are strikes anyway?
Yeah, so, I mean, same with Warmind. 2 of them are for Warmind, and I don't know. It's something that continues to rub me the wrong way, and I think Bungie's going to have to address it sooner rather than later. So, Rob, I hope that sufficiently answered your question. They do provide some of the lore cards in-game now, but even that's largely from Forsaken onwards.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate to be that guy, but you're going to have to go watch some stuff. Go watch My Name is Bife.
Yeah.
He did a really good rundown of the game up to Shadowkeep. You can probably chop out about the last hour of that video or so, hour and a half maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from like Destiny 2 onwards. Just like you can watch his Destiny 1 chunk of it, which is probably about 45-50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
and that'll kind of give you the lowdown of what you missed in Destiny 1. This is the problem with doing a numbered sequel to a live service game, right? People inevitably get left behind. Like, how many people joined in when it came to Steam for the first time? How many did not play on consoles?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, anybody playing on PC and didn't own a console jumped in for Destiny 2, right? Like, I mean, they didn't even know. They didn't get that legacy chatter at the beginning from Shaxx. They didn't get, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't call you the young...
I still get different dialogue to this day because we played Destiny 1.
Right.
Like, Eris, every time she talks to me, she calls me Slayer of Oryx every time she talks to me. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, and then you get to the point where, like, you're in Beyond Light. Like, I watched this video where this is the legacy dialogue and this is the new player dialogue, and it's like...
It's so much better.
Yeah, like, because it's like, who's this Cade character, right? Like, they say that in the dialogue at the beginning of Beyond Light if you don't have a Guardian previously, right? And you just jumped into Beyond Light without playing Forsaken or Shadowkeep.
So yeah, bottom line, they got to do something to at least give us the cinematics. If you're going to do nothing else, give us the cinematics, give us the strikes, give us eventually give us the raids back. Like, I understand getting the Leviathan out of there. That was a ton of space. That was 4 uniquely built raids and the Menagerie. I suspect that was most of what they deleted, was that and Scourge of the Past. The planets, I don't know if and the campaigns, I don't know if they necessarily need to go away. Like, this kind of goes back to, hey, let us delete individual language packs. Like, that's all uncompressed. Let us delete that. I do think, though, Rob, I do think they're eventually going to circle back and bring a lot of this back into the game once we have left the Xbox One and PS4 behind, which, God willing, is going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Moving along, though, we have Fallen Saber. This is one that sounds exactly like it was. Like, it pretty much has to be a legacy version of this because it says you're rushing to the aid of the AI warmind Rasputin as he broadcasts a plea for help across the system.
Yeah.
That pretty much has to be.
It has to
the
be
legacy, right? Unless Anna Bray is there uploading him, which is just stupid.
Right. Why would she be?
Right. And
there?
Why would he be calling for help across the system? And then Proving Grounds. The champions of humanity face the champions of the Cabal to determine the fate of the last city. This looks like it takes place on Nessus. Giant Cabal tank. I'm here for it. I like big moving objects that you have to infiltrate.
It's so cool, dude. It's so cool. Oh, it's so cool.
The armory. So the exotic bow that you get as part of the season pass, Tiku's Divination. Recurve bow charges multiple solar arrows that can track several targets at once. I expect this to be the bane of many of people in PvP. This looks awesome though. I'll actually use this one. I'll be honest, I really didn't use the shotgun that we got this season duality.
Oh, dude, I used it for maybe an hour, and I'm like, man, I don't like this thing at all. Like, I don't really.
It's simply my playstyle. I don't use shotguns in PvP.
Oh, I do, but I'm using the 7th Seraph shotgun or honestly Chaperone. If you get close enough to people, like if you, what are the boots that I have the Titan boots that when you slide, it gives you like better accuracy with the shotgun or whatever. Yeah. So.
And then they have an exotic quest that's redacted. That's the Tex Machina symbol, though. It's pretty much thought that this is going to be the final exotic hand cannon from them that was in Destiny 1. The companion piece to the last word.
I almost said truth, but
struggling to remember the name.
It's not truth, is it? No, truth is a rocket launcher. Wow. Okay, never mind.
I had it. It's like on the tip of my tongue, and I can't really remember what it is.
I know what you're talking about. I just.
It's gonna bother me. I gotta.
I'm looking it up.
It's Tex Machina. Last
word, Thorn.
The first curse.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking of. I was struggling to remember it because I actually did not have this gun. I believe it came out during Rise of Iron. So I did not have it. Or excuse me, it was out in year two. I'm stupid. I just never earned it. That's the last one, I think.
God, I hope so. I'm so tired of hand cannons. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of hand cannons.
That's what I saw from a lot of people. Like, I genuinely hope that this is a gun, a new gun, or maybe just like an existing gun. Like I'm sitting here looking at the guns that Tex Machina is behind, and I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna do. Because I mean, is it gonna be able to top? Is it gonna be able to top other guns that they have? Because they're behind Chaperone, Last Word, Fourth Horseman, Prospector, Huckleberry. Like, I hope it's a new gun. I genuinely hope it's a new gun. I need it to be something new and not a hand cannon. We have way too many exotic hand cannons as it is, and really, what exotic hand cannon in the Crucible is beating out Thorn or Last Word?
Nothing really, unless you get like if you got like the God Roll Hawkmoon, I guess.
I mean, I would say Hawkmoon is up. I definitely think Hawkmoon's up there. I was stupid for forgetting that gun was in the game. So I don't know what you do there. Of course, we're going to talk about loadout and new guns. We talked about Umbral Ingrams last week. They say over 25 weapons added to the loot pool, and I don't know if my math is just bad, but I don't think that's entirely accurate. The seasonal art. So this makes me wonder, like, what the fuck is the Hammer of Proving that they talk about with the helm? Because when I read that, I was like, oh, that's going to be our seasonal artifact then.
Mm-hmm.
Our seasonal artifact is the Bell of Conquests. And it looks like it's like a Cabal. It's a Cabal artifact.
Yeah.
So I want to know what the hammer is. We get a better look at. I don't know if it's better, but the butt plug armor.
Gross. The armor's so awful, dude. I'm sorry.
Terrible. We're gonna skip right past that because I can't do it. The seasonal rewards, of course. Look, some of this stuff just from what we can make out of the little pictures look cool. You got a transmat effect. You got some shaders. You've got it looks like a legendary finisher. You've got, I believe it's a linear fusion and a sidearm are the two legendary weapons you get out of this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Linear fusion and that. It looks like we get an exotic ghost shell at some point. You get your armor ornaments like always. You get a ton of bright dust. There's a couple of emotes in here. It looks like there's a legendary and a exotic emote this time around. And of course the exotic ornament for the Tiku's Divination bow. But that's kind of the breakdown of all the events of the season. We also got the calendar, and just when things are going to go live. The 2 reprise strikes are going to go live on Tuesday morning at reset. Those are going to go live along with the first 2 battlegrounds, Behemoth and Hailstone,
right?
Which are not the Earth ones. The Earth one is the last one to come up. Stasis Aspect quests will begin also.
What is that?
So I'm wondering if we get new aspects. Like, surely there's got to be more.
Yeah.
So if they do that, like maybe that's part of why we didn't get a whole lot of Stasis nerfs, because they're going to be like, hey, we're introducing a whole lot of other ways to play this class.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping. Trials. They're promising Trials is going to start that weekend.
No,
I don't know
it's
if
not.
I believe that.
No, it's good. $10 says it gets delayed.
$10 says it has to get delayed. Some new Stasis aspect is going to break the game. The 16th is when we get the Cleansing Battleground, which is the one in the Cosmodrome. We get our first. Oh, we get a 4th battleground. So there's 4 battlegrounds. We get our 4th and presumably final one, along with Iron Banner on the 23rd. The Proving Grounds strike will open up on March 23rd, along with another round of Iron Banner. Proving Grounds will enter the Strikes playlist for everyone if you do not own the Season Pass on the 30th. We got a lot of Iron Banner coming up. And then at the end of the season, it looks like this is going to be what ends the actual season altogether, is Guardian Games.
That's a cool way to end the season, I guess.
April 20th to May 9th, and then May 7th through 9th is going to be the closing ceremony of Guardian Games. So maybe they finally did something to spice it up like we said they needed to. Mm-hmm. The most curious thing for me is just the gigantic gap between February 23rd and March 23rd. I would wager at least one exotic quest is dropping during that time.
Yeah. Or like maybe like a mid-season story beat or something.
Definitely some mid-season story beats. Maybe that's when we see the scene with Crow.
By the way, I
know.
stopped the trailer on this Crow armor because I didn't notice it the first time I watched it because I was so focused on like Zavala and the sword. The Crow's armor looks fucking cool.
It looks great. I really like it.
It's got feathers on it, dude. It's cool.
Yeah, it looks really good. So we'll get to this in the story beat that we're going to talk about tonight in Lore Corner, but this is armor that Osiris gives him so that he's not wearing Spider's cloak into the fucking city.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this, and this is a pretty solid layout for a season, I feel.
Yeah.
Initially. But again, like, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and go, there is nothing between February 23rd and March 23rd. If all that you have in that, and I'm going to say this right now, if all you have is a singular exotic quest, you're going to have problems. I'm talking like if you're going to do that, it's going to have like Hawkmoon style replayability.
Yeah.
Like Harbinger. And that's going to have to come way earlier in the season. I don't know what else you really do there. I'm not saying they need to tell us everything on the roadmap. I think this season was actually a really good example of not showing us anything that was going to happen past Christmas, really.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were going to be getting Hawkmoon for replayable roles, for random roles. We didn't know that we were going to be getting an entire quest line tied to that. Exotic rewards coming out of it. Double Hawkmoon drops every week for redoing Harbinger, and that's going to be up all year long. Like, there's so many cool things I think that they did right in this season, and it's overshadowed by the crappiness of the season. That I don't know. Like, and I'm really skeptical about Guardian games. If that's your only thing at the end of the season, oof. I think you're gonna have something, because they're not just gonna drop the Vault of Glass on us in the middle of the season.
Yeah, you have to. You have to have a story beat tied to that, right? Like, you have to.
You have to. I've seen a lot of people speculate, like, oh, what if they surprise drop a dungeon on us? Like, we had no idea Prophecy was coming in, and they just dropped it on us that day. I don't think that we're going to get a dungeon drop right away. If they do a dungeon drop, the only time I see it happening is end of February through mid-March. That space of 30 days where we have no idea what's happening. Do that and an exotic quest, I think that would sustain an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially with us now having reasons to go do all 3 dungeons now.
Right.
For powerful rewards, for up to level rewards, for mats, etc. Like, there are reasons for us to go do these again.
Yeah. Man, I still want to do the other 2. I've only done Pit of Heresy.
You've never done Shattered Throne or Prophecy?
I never have 3 people to do.
We're gonna do both. We're gonna do both of those this next season for you.
Okay.
Because there's reasons to go do Shattered Throne now.
Yeah.
Like, there's actual story beats for us to not just story beats, but like rewards are worth it again.
Yeah.
You can get powerfuls out of there once a week. You can get mats out of there. Like, that's we'll definitely go hit that for sure. Corey, let's shift gears and let's run over to the Schwab real quick. We're going to run through this Schwab because we just took forever breaking down the new season.
I mean, let's be clear, though. This is a big deal. New season's a big deal. Trailer was a big deal. Crow's armor, big deal.
So first thing we got here, we're going to talk loadouts. We're going to address sunsetting as we go. We're going to address sunsetting here at the end of this. Okay. The first thing to bring up is that Nightfalls are going to have 3 Destiny 1 weapons coming back, which is the Swarm, large machine gun, the Palindrome hand cannon, and Shadow Price, the auto rifle. I hope I got those right.
It's up here, right? Like the spoils, under the spoils, the Swarm, Palindrome, and Shadow Price.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was stupid. I didn't read that.
That's why I'm here, Josh.
I know. So I like how this works. We're Ordeal weapons will have a chance to drop at the end of the activity, depending on your metal, platinum, gold, etc., and your difficulty. Master difficulty will give you the highest chance at a drop of the base versions of the weapon. Adept weapons will have a chance to drop at the end of a Grandmaster Nightfall when they go live later in the season, and those will also depend on your metal. Slay enough champions to hit platinum, and you'll have a high chance at an adept weapon. The other thing that is not listed here that Cosmo has confirmed on Reddit is that adept mods, which we thought were only going to drop from Trials of Osiris Flawless chests, will drop from Grandmaster Nightfalls. As for what those adept mods do, we don't know yet. We have no idea what these things are going to do. So I'm very curious to see this. Like, if I now might actually have a reason to go do Grandmasters and torture myself, like when it's double rewards and it's like Lake of Shadows, I'll do it.
Right.
Or like Inverted Spire or something like that. I like this. I don't know how I feel about us bringing back Destiny 1 weapons a lot, but these were 3 beloved weapons from Destiny 1, and if you're going to do that, I think it makes sense to throw those into a playlist activity like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they're all Vanguard weapons. The Pinnacle weapon this season, it's a new breech-loaded grenade launcher, Salvager's Salvo. So this is why we got the change to breech-loaded grenade launchers last week.
Right.
That goes live on Tuesday, which it now will explode on impact when it hits a Guardian or an enemy. That's great. I'm here for this. I think this looks really cool. It looks like something the Drifter would have made, like just ramshack throwing it together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what the ornaments look like for this. I like it. We haven't had one of these as a Pinnacle or as a Pursuit since Mountaintop, and well, we all know how Mountaintop went.
Yeah, we all know how that went.
If this is Mountaintop 2.0, I'm not playing Crucible. Flat out, we're all going to be grenade launching each other with this, like we did with Witherhorde right off the bat. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible, but I love it. The Trials. So Trials is probably getting the biggest revamp of anything this season, right? Let's talk these weapons.
They look cool.
They look cool. It looks like a hand cannon, a pulse, and a sword. I was seeing people already joking that the sword is going to be called like Salt's Fang or something.
Yeah.
Or like the Sword of Salt or something like that, because people are going to be so mad about it.
Yeah.
Like the Salty Hook, a Temptation Salt, things like that, because it looks like Temptation's Hook. Like, these weapons look really cool, though. I'm probably never going to touch the hand cannon, though, just because I'm not a hand cannon guy. I will absolutely go after the pulse and the sword, though.
That pulse looks really cool.
The pulse looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I like these weapons. We finally got a full glimpse of the armor and not just of the helmets.
Josh, please lose in Trials with me for this.
This is some of the coolest fucking armor in the entire game across all 3 classes.
Dude, the Titan, we finally got a cool Titan roll for something.
The Titan armor may actually be the best armor.
Yeah. Dude, that helmet is...
And I say that as somebody who, when I get that Hunter armor, I'm absolutely never taking it off.
Yeah, dude, if I got any of this Trials armor, I would never take it off. I'm never taking it off.
It's so cool. Like, listen, it's an endgame activity. It's the same argument that I make about raids and about dungeons. You're doing endgame level stuff. Give us the coolest rewards there. Don't put them in the store. Give them to us like this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to earn this. And especially now that they've introduced it to where you can get the 3 win stuff from just doing the bounty.
Yeah.
But there are incentives to try and win, Corey.
Yeah. Well, first of all, A1 Johnny tweeted at me and asked me if I would lose for this armor. And yes, I will definitely fucking lose for this armor. It looks
John,
so cool.
I will lose all weekend long for this armor, buddy. And for that pulse.
Josh, can we play Trials next weekend?
The first weekend? Yes. That may be our best chance at actually winning a match. I'll have you know.
I'm telling you, why not? Why not? I will be...
I will do it. I'm eagerly awaiting to see what the final piece that they do this weekend is, because the chest piece is the only thing I'm missing from the armor set.
Yeah.
And I'd really like, because it's the Destiny 1 trial set, I would really, really, really like that chest piece.
Yeah.
My idea was, why are we not now with the introduction of new armor? Why are we not allowed to buy the old armor from Saint once Transmog comes out?
Mm-hmm.
Still make me get my 3 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Make me get my 3 wins or turn in my bounty. One of the two.
What if you got tokens for winning matches and you turn those tokens in? Like, I know we want to get rid of the token system, but like, I feel like this is different. What if you got like trials tokens and you could turn them into Saint 14 or Osiris for old sets of armor?
So you already get trials tokens from finishing matches and from winning.
I know, but aren't they taking tokens away?
No, not from trials.
Okay. Well,
my idea was give me the option to either turn those in for an engram from Saint or to flat out buy the universal ornament from him with my tokens.
Yeah.
I would rather spend it on the armor, personally. On the old armor to finish out my armor set, because it's going to bug me forever if I have those 2 slots missing.
Yeah.
Because I'm missing this and I'm missing... I don't really care about the legs. I really want that chest piece, though.
Mm-hmm.
God, dude, the armor is just so good. Each weapon will have an adept version with special mods. They do have an article about that. I've just simply forgotten because it's been so long. And a special shader that can be applied to any adept weapon, even the ones from the Grandmaster Nightfall. For the first week of trials, armor and adept mods will be in the flawless chest. Second week is when you'll have your first chance to get an adept weapon. Along with the new weapons and armors, we have cosmetic rewards to show off as well. The Ghost Shell drop chances increase as you win matches and increases when you hit the 3, 5, 7 win and flawless milestones each week. The Ship and Sparrow drop chances increase every time you go flawless.
Dude, that ship looks cool. That
is one of the coolest ships in the entire game. Johnny and I have already accepted we're never getting this because we're not going flawless. I am absolutely going to try my hardest to get that fucking Ghost Shell, though.
Yeah, the Ghost Shell is cool. The Sparrow is cool. This is the coolest set of trials anything we've gotten in a long time.
This is what we want in in-game activities, is stuff like this. I have no hope in hell at getting the Sparrow or the ship, but that Ghost Shell is at least attainable. Yeah. I think it'll be a very minuscule chance if you can't get past that 3-win mark or even hit it.
Yeah.
But there's still a chance for it to drop.
Yeah.
So I would like to get it. That would become my permanent PvP Ghost. I would never take it off in PvP.
So cool, dude.
And then there's more weapons for the arsenal right below that. We have it looks like 6 new weapons being added.
Yeah. What is that? We've got a bow, a rocket launcher, a sidearm, sniper, probably an assault rifle, and a submachine gun.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I actually wonder if that is an assault rifle or if that's the linear fusion from the pass.
Yeah, it could be that too. Yeah, now that you're saying it, it kind of looks like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering because we already know there's a sidearm in the season pass.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's broken down into 4 weapons and 2, which let's talk sunsetting for a second. Let's go ahead and have this conversation now.
Yeah.
We've talked about this ad nauseum, but I feel like this is another good opportunity to bring this up because we've had people ask. It's not just our
Oh no, Josh, don't die on me. I need you.
I've had a really bad acid reflux the last couple days, like to the point where it's like actively hurting my throat. Yodeler was asking us to talk about reskins and sunsetting. As far as reskins go, if it's being brought over from Destiny 1, I'm 100% okay with it.
Yeah.
If it's a legendary coming into the game from there, I'm okay with this, especially if they plan on eventually merging these games, which I still think they're going to do. I think that that's okay. That being said, if you're going to do that, please start bringing my faction weapons back from Destiny 1. There's so much opportunity to bring some of those unique weapons over without diluting this game too much. And I think that's great to bring in for some of these, like, maybe not necessarily pinnacle activities, but I think that's good to bring over as an incentive. A lot of us have very fond memories, if we play Destiny 1, of Palindrome, of Shadow Price. You know, we have great memories associated with them. I think it's okay as long as it's not outbalancing and outclassing new weapons. They're in Grandmasters, so they should be top of the class. They should be top of the chart for those weapons in terms of legendaries. They absolutely should be. but I would rather be earning new stuff from Destiny 2, I think, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at what they're adding to this game, this season, right here. So you've got the 6 things that are associated with the season that we just talked about. You've got 3 new Trials weapons, so we're up to 9. You've got the Pinnacle, or the Pursuit, which is 10. You've got the 3 from the Grandmaster, which is 13. I don't know if that's enough. Oh, excuse me. We have 6 other weapons we don't know about that they're adding. They're adding 2 each to Gambit, Crucible, and Vanguard on top of all these. So we have 6 more. That's 19. I think at 19, I think you're in a pretty good spot if you're adding all that for a season.
Yeah.
That being said, it's pretty clear we're not going to get another and you've got 2 coming in Iron Banner, I believe. So you're up to about 21. They promised 25 weapons. I'm trying to do the math to figure out where the other 4 are, because I don't count exotics as that. So you're dropping 4 exotics in this. I would wager it's probably going to be 3 exotics and a legendary that you earn during Guardian games.
Yeah. Something during Guardian games for sure.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like Heir Apparent last year, which is just a huge fucking grind. I think they know like people want to grind for different roles if we're going to grind for anything.
Right.
Just give me a best in class weapon of some sort. I don't know. Like we got 4th Horseman around the same time last year, which was basically a Pinnacle, and we've been running around with it rampant for a year now.
Yeah.
Give me something along those lines. I think this alleviates a little bit of my concerns about sunsetting, is that they're adding this. I'm not going to sit here and praise the move to go back and give us 4 weapons on the moon and 4 weapons in the Dreaming City. Who is actually going to use the Dreaming City weapons? The answer is nobody. Not a single soul. Now, they have told us those weapons can drop with unique perks within the Shattered Throne, which excites me. I want to see what those are. Those are supposedly exclusive perks. Mm-hmm. Same with the weapons on the moon. They can drop in Pit of Heresy with special perks that you can only get there. That is where I'm more excited about, because a good perk can outweigh a shitty-ass weapon.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen that time and time again. I mean, there's some I don't really like from the Deepstone Crypt raid, but because of the special raid perks, I like using them. I'm not good with slug shotties, but you better believe I've been trying to get good with them, considering I have some of the god rolls from the raid.
Yeah.
And I think this is a little bit different. We obviously don't know what we're going to get with those 6 mystery weapons that are going to be added to the playlist. If those are all reskinned weapons, then I think, yes, at that point we need to actually be concerned about sunsetting.
Yeah.
Or if it's just, these are weapons we just got done sharding, like, I don't ever want to go through where we're bringing back a ton of weapons from like Forsaken and Shadowkeep again, like we did a la Gnawing Hunger.
Yeah.
Because at that point, why did you do it at all? I understand why we had to do it. It was mainly to get rid of the Pinnacles. And you couldn't just say, hey, we're taking like 6 weapons out of the game. Because I think the revolt from that would have been just as strong.
Yeah.
Because of what you had to go through to get some of those. Specifically, Mountaintop and Recluse. The others were at least semi-obtainable. Those 2 you actually had to work for. And Bungie is kind of at a point now where they can't walk this back.
Yeah.
Because so many of us have cleared our vaults now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't out of paranoia.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've cleared a good chunk of stuff out, namely my armor. But I still have a ton of weapons that are sunset in there. Like, some of my god rolls are still in there.
Yeah.
In case they ever decide to do this. I don't want to go grind for stuff I've already earned in this game, though. I don't want to, like, when the Black Armory stuff inevitably comes back, which kind of thought would be this season, but it's going to be one of the seasons this year. We just had the Black Armory armor last season, the Izanagi set.
Yeah.
Or this season, I guess. We still have a couple of days left. That kind of, I think, is setting up a story beat for us a little bit. Mm-hmm. We know Ada's still chilling in the tower, as far as we know. Just, she's closed her front door. It makes no sense. But if you're gonna do that, don't.
She's
don't
quarantining.
Social distancing in the tower. Don't give me stuff I've earned with random rolls already. I'm fine with you giving me things that I'm fine with getting things from year 1 that never had random rolls. Like when they brought back Uriel's Gift, they brought some of the Iron Banner weapons that we have now were weapons from year 1 that never had random rolls. I'm okay with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, as long as it's not outclassing new stuff, like I still want you to get creative with these weapons. I want new stuff to earn. And I never want to go through another major period of sunsetting again. We knew the initial period was going to be the roughest. And then the fact that we just didn't get a lot of stuff this season that was usable added insult to injury. We had 5 seasonal weapons. 5. 3 from the activity, 2 from the season pass. That's bad. 6 is not much better. 6 is just as bad. Let's be completely clear. The bare minimum I feel like we should be getting from the seasonal activity and season pass put together is like 8 or 9. Yeah. I think personally.
Yeah.
If they're only going to be around for a year, I think you should be doing that. And I get like, oh, well, you can go get this stuff from the Wrathborn hunts all year long. Like, who the hell wants to go play those? Nobody.
No, dude. The Wrathborn hunts
suck.
Sorry, they sucked. They sucked.
It is, and I told John this. I said the only thing that it has going for it is that it's not Seraph Towers.
Okay,
because this at least I can solo this easily. You could not solo Seraph Towers. No. You couldn't even do Seraph. Once they did the buff to it later on in the season with the heroic without telling anybody, you couldn't do that with any less than like. I only got it done. I got the Triumph done for the seal because I somehow got into a group of 9 people. Anytime somebody drove by, we would bring them in, and we were making posts on LFG to bring people into fire teams. Yeah, that's how bad this was.
The Seraph Towers were bad.
Yeah, Seraph Towers are bad. Wrathborn hunts just suck.
Yeah.
They're also like super easy. It's like this is like a glorified kill bounty. I'm not complaining, but like the loot could have been better because have you ever felt a need to use a weapon that you can earn in the Wrathborn hunts outside of the SMG?
No, I don't even use the SMG, to be honest with you.
I do use friction fire. I like a good primary SMG, frankly. But even then, I've got better options. Cold Front is a better option, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I'm rocking that shotgun in that secondary slot. I need a distance, like a mid range primary, you know?
Yeah.
For me, the way I play.
Yeah. So to answer the question about sunsetting, I do think that I think this season is going to kind of be the make or break for it. If these weapons are balanced, they're worth pursuing. The seasonal weapons, especially, because that's what most people are going to be able to go for, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not adding in adept versions of the 6 weapons. I'm not adding those in at all because the statistical chance of getting to one of those is so abnormally low.
Yeah.
Like, only the best of the best are going to get there, and I don't think something the best of the best can get to is worth counting. If it was like a raid selection of weapons, like, oh, there's 7 weapons from the raid, yeah, I'd count those. Because Deepstone Crypt is accessible to anybody as long as you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Grandmasters and Trials of Osiris are a little bit of a different puppy, though. So I'm willing to count the base version since you can still get those weapons, presumably in Trials from the 3-win when they go up for the weekend. Or from the bounty. And then with the Ordeal ones, you still have the chance to earn them by doing any level of Ordeal. It's just your chance is exponentially higher when you do the Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Well, as it should be, personally.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the base one when you do the master, and then when you grandmaster, that's how you get the adept. That's how it should be. But yeah. Going on in the TWAB, I don't know what. So they talk about the Aeon suite of exotics here. These are really interesting. I'm not going to go into everything that they do in these perks because the Aeon gauntlets have been modified to now have a special mod slot for an Aeon mod. And it gives you one perk that focuses on the user and one that focuses on allies. So, like, if all 3 of you are running it, because there's another special perk within the second perk, there's another benefit if nobody else in your fire team is running that same mod.
Yeah.
When you have 3 people running it, you get maximum efficiency. I like that. This is interesting. I will actually play with these for the first time ever, but I can't tell you how many times I've deleted these gauntlets over the years with good rolls because they've been useless since day one.
Yeah.
And now it's like I was telling Johnny earlier, I had a natural 68 of these that I deleted like not even a month ago. And I just hate my life right now. So much. I encourage you all to go read this, though. The mods are identical across all 3 classes. I'm personally, I can't even zoom in here on the TWAB to read these anyways. Go look it up for yourself. These are actually really interesting, and I look forward to playing around with them, especially in raids.
Yeah, this seems like a team based like raid or I was gonna say if you are running a dungeon,
probably.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. The only other major thing that we have to talk about, catalysts are coming back. They had to remove a lot of the catalysts when we shifted to the vault, and they've got a lot of them reprogrammed in now. Drop sources and objectives are updated to not be associated with vault content, include Bad Juju, Izanagi's Burden, Sleeper Stimulant, Huckleberry, Worldline Zero, Polaris Lance, Telesto.
Yes, Telesto.
Legend of Acrius, and Skyburner's Oath. Those last 3 are the biggies because they were tied to the prestige versions of the raids.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the Legend of Acrius one was ridiculously difficult to get.
Yeah, I've still never gotten it. They do say here, catalysts for Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected are still unobtainable for anybody who hasn't earned them and will be added in a future update. So I don't know if that means this season or if that means in a future season.
Yeah.
I imagine they know that people still are using Outbreak a pretty fair amount in PvE content.
I'm still using it a pretty fair amount.
Even though I think that at this point Xenophage is pretty much the go-to exotic for a lot of people. For endgame content, especially for like boss fights and whatnot.
Yeah.
I still like using Outbreak. I just have so many other options that I forget that I have it.
I love Outbreak.
I love a good pulse. Of course, there's new Prime Gaming bundle up. Go get that. That's all Graviton Lance stuff. That ornament does not come around ever. I think that's a Crimson Days ornament.
It's a cool ornament. That's a cool ornament.
I snatched it up last year. I really like it.
Also, the one right now is Hardlight, and that ornament is pretty cool. So if you have Prime Gaming,
the Hardlight one is gone.
Oh, it is? I thought it was. I thought it was through the weekend.
Nope. The Graviton Lance one went up at reset on Tuesday.
Hey guys, I lied to you. It is not available to you.
Or he's a dirty liar.
I am.
And as a reminder, real quick, the weekly bounties are gone. They are no more. Weekly bounties are completely gone. They will be removed from your inventory at reset on Tuesday. Crucible tokens and token gifts are gone. Stasis fragments, crow bounties, and planetary materials for sunset planets. You will still be able to turn these into Spider for Glimmer, though, apparently. So maybe I'm kind of glad that I'm still sitting on mounds of like 5,000. And there will be there's going to be some more DDoS protection being added during Season of the Chosen, but they still need to test that for Steam. And then there will be a mandatory update for the season on Tuesday before it goes live. It's going to add a whole lot of stuff. In here, the only things that I think are really of note, I want to say this real quick. I think that this was supposed to be kept secret, and they put it in patch notes anyways. There are new Ascendant challenges coming.
That's
in the garrisons, it looks like, because there's new Ahamkara bones to find now. That is in there. There is the Altar of Sorrows bosses on the moon are going to rotate daily instead of weekly now, presumably so you can get those weapons quicker. Now they're actually useful. And I think that's really about it. Yeah, that's honestly it. Strum will reload any equipped energy slot weapon on kills. I know that one's been bugged like forever. And it looks like that's about it for this week for the Chwab. The only thing I still see on here is they're still saying there's something redacted for this season that they're not ready to talk about quite yet. I imagine we may find out about that right away because everything else is live on day one.
Yeah.
That they mention here at the end that Cosmo does. So, again, this is a little bit lighter, but definitely in terms of weapons, a bit of a more packed week than we've come to expect leading into a season.
Yeah, this seems like a lot even compared to like sometimes even when an expansion drops. Like that first, like this season is definitely more packed full of stuff than the Beyond Lights or the Season of the Hunt, for sure.
Well, and it has to be, right?
Yeah.
And spring is traditionally where Destiny falters. I do wonder, though, because this is not going to end until the beginning of May, are we permanently pushing the expansions? We mulled about this last week, I believe.
It seems like that unless that third season is going to be a shorter season, or the last season is like some sort of weird time, like you know what I mean? Like maybe that last season is shorter to prepare us for stuff, and like maybe they have like a really tightened story. Yeah. Maybe each week, what's a season like?
16 weeks.
16 weeks. So
14 to 16.
What if the last season's like 10 weeks, and each week we get a story beat leading up until the Witch Queen?
So I was wondering that too, but then that goes directly against the seasonal challenges that they're introducing this season as a permanent thing going forward, because they say those activate from weeks 3 through 10, and then you have a few weeks to finish them up at the end because they don't want you to feel pressured to play. So I don't know. Like, I feel like at this point they're just going to do they're going to knock a week or two off of each of the final 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have the summer season that starts May 9th is when that starts.
Mm-hmm.
Have that end with the end of Solstice, possibly. With the end of the Solstice of Heroes and the Moments of Triumph.
Yeah.
And then you have the other season, because I don't think you can push Solstice to the fall either.
Yeah. No, you can't.
I don't know what you do. Like, it's weird to think about, but if you do that,
I feel like if you push Solstice,
I think you can still have like 2 12-week seasons if you do that.
I feel like if you push Solstice, it's butting up too close to whatever they're replacing Festival of the Lost with or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't want 2 events that close to each other, I feel.
No. Corey, with all this Crucible talk,
mm-hmm.
we need to talk about something that's going on in the community, which is the debate right now, especially with the changes announced last week to weapon balancing, specifically for PC players.
Yeah.
And with impending crossplay. Is it time to put Crucible behind a paywall? This is something that's been talked about a lot.
Yeah, we got 3 write-ins about this?
We got 2. We got 2 write-ins about this, and we got a separate free-to-play question from Rob.
Yeah.
And so I want to read both. I want to read. We're going to read Willow Hordes first, and then we're going to go to A1 Jotties, because I think they have conflicting opinions on this one.
Okay.
So Willow asks us, should Destiny remove free-to-play from Crucible, Iron Banner, and Trials, with crossplay coming and no opt-out as of yet? And then Johnny asks us, what's y'all's take on this Crucible narrative? I think banning them from normal control would be a big mistake, and I'm not convinced people who pay monthly fees for cheats would get stopped by paying $10 for a season to continue cheating in Trials. So I want to say right now, when Trials got announced last year, it's coming back. I had this conversation specifically with John and with a few of my other friends who play a lot of PvP, way more than I do. And my opinion is that Trials absolutely needs to be behind a paywall.
Yeah,
100%. Cheating was happening in Crucible before Trials, mm-hmm. but it went to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way. If you're a guy who's going flawless in Trials, like legit, mm-hmm. or you're attempting to play Trials, like for the most part, you are probably a paying customer. You are probably buying the expansion, and you are probably buying the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to sit here and say, because I was of the opinion, well, you need to have the most recent expansion. So i.e. you need to own Beyond Light.
Mm-hmm.
Game Pass throws a wrinkle into that, though.
Yeah. Especially if it's coming to Game Pass on PC also.
Yeah. Game Pass is coming on PC. I think that's part of why they're doing the extra DDoS protection right now.
Oh, yeah.
Is to prepare for that. So my idea is that you would need to own both the season and the current season and the current expansion. I know that that's asking people to pay like $80 a year to play Destiny, to play Trials. But that is the main playlist where people do the cheating at.
But also, like,
my experience.
for me, like the people who are playing those in-game activities are probably already paying that anyway.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at is
like I don't see a casual player who just downloaded off of Game Pass be like, "Oh man, I've just went through New Light. Let's go try. What's this Trials stuff?" You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that. Like for me, I feel like competitive Iron Banner and Trials should all be part of the season that you're paying for.
The only thing that I think I would leave out, because I agree that competitive, because they're just going to go to comp, right? Here, because we did see it in comp.
Let me rephrase that. Competitive and Iron Banner should be part of the expansion. Trials should be part of the season. You have to own them to play those. If you want to play Crucible, regular Crucible, that can stay in the free-to-play space, right? I feel like that's fair. But if you want to play the competitive modes, you have to abide by, the paywalls.
I would honestly, and I don't think there's any right answer to this question, right? I do think that a paywall needs to be introduced somewhere. How extreme it is depends on where people start going to. I think that, because again, like Game Pass kind of like ruins our whole argument of locking it behind the expansion, because you just get it for free. Like how many people, if they're already getting included as a subscription, are really going to go pay that $40 for the expansion just to play Trials or
that's what I'm saying though, is like maybe you leave Iron Banner and competitive within the expansion, right? But the season you pay for the season. You pay for the season for Trials, right? Because like Trials is like the competitive event, and like you're gonna pay for that, and like it comes with the armor and everything. Like I feel like that. I feel like Trials rewards is compelling enough for you to pay that extra $10 to play it.
I think so too. I think that adds another value into it personally. I definitely am in favor of keeping Iron Banner with the majority of the people playing the game. Because that's what it always was. It was endgame that was accessible to those of us who couldn't raid, or to those of us who couldn't play Trials. It was a way for us to get endgame.
It's that mid-tier endgame activity.
It is. It's like a dungeon. But dungeons are available to everyone. With the exception, I think Prophecy, you had to have the season when it came out, and for Pit of Heresy, you had to own Shadowkeep. Like. Iron Banner is something that's been in here since the beginning. I would argue for leaving Iron Banner, honestly, in free-to-play to give them an end-game experience of some sort, because they don't get the dungeons right now, to my knowledge, and they don't have any raids.
Right. Yeah, so that's fair.
I would argue that just to give them a taste of that high-stat gear and of the Salt Factory, just let them know what they're getting into if they decide to pay for the game. And with it being part of Game Pass on Xbox and with it coming to PC this spring, I think it's a pretty compelling argument. Comp, because here's my issue, because Trials is where we saw a spike of cheaters, but we were already getting it in comp. It just wasn't nearly as publicized because comp was not considered the pinnacle event, right?
Right.
People were mainly just cheating at their mountaintops or to grief people, which, I mean, here they're cheating to get flawless wins. So I think if you lock Trials of Osiris behind a paywall, I'm 100% here for it. I think you need to consider moving comp and Trials. I think almost you need to have, you need to own the season and the expansion. So that way, if somebody's getting the expansion with Beyond or with Game Pass, if they're getting Beyond Light with Game Pass or Witch Queen with Game Pass or whatever, you're still having to pay an entry fee. And I know some people are going to look at it and go, "Oh, Bungie just wants more money from us." Like, dude, like 99% of you are already buying the season pass anyways. I don't know why you're complaining. This is simply validating it. Like, this is how they can do it. Now, on Bungie's end, though, we got to get better anti-cheat. We got to get better DDoS protection. I know they're going after some of these cheat software like OpenCheat and a few others. Like, people who are paying for this don't care. They have money to throw away if they care that much about gear in a fictional video game. And it's a problem. Like, I don't know. I'm not a developer, so I don't know how you combat that. But to me, that seems like the logical way is start putting things behind paywalls and develop your own software to make it better, like better anti-cheat, better DDoS. And this is a problem, to be completely clear, that is like, I would say 99% on PC.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But
when they introduce crossplay,
yeah, Willow brings this up, with no opt-out yet, like what's going to happen? I guarantee you there's going to be opt-in to playing with PC players.
There's got to be. Or at least like...
There's going to be, because most of us aren't going to torture ourselves with it. We're still going to keep playing in our own little world, but we're going to want to play with our PlayStation friends. We're going to play with our Stadia friends.
If it's not gone by then.
We're going to want to play with all 2,000 people on Stadia.
Oh, man.
But hey, Stadia may actually be a viable place to play this after crossplay comes. Who knows? It's a tricky thing, though, because either way you're alienating some player who is going to take this personally.
Yeah.
But I truly think that the solution is you make it pay to play. Mm-hmm. For trials and for comp. I think comp needs to be included in that as well. Like comp, if you pay for it, boom, you can go play comp.
Yeah.
There you go. You have access to the expansion, whether it's through Game Pass or where you're paying, because either way you're paying for it no matter what. Mm. And you got to buy the season too. Well, to do trials, you need to do that. I would honestly, because I think this will dissuade some people from doing it, you need to hit a certain level, or you need to get a certain amount of glory in survival, mm-hmm. which I think they have that to unlock trials, but hey, just do it every season. You need to hit the cap. So like, for example, say the cap is 1300 and that's the hard cap. The pinnacle cap is 1310. You need to hit 1300 mm-hmm. In order to be in there. And I think your account needs to be a certain amount of days old too. I think your game profile needs to be, X amount of months, and you need to have a certain amount of playtime, like in the Crucible or something. Like they need to start setting up flags on this to where, not just for that, but to prevent new players from running into this too.
Well, remember in Destiny 1 where you had to have like a certain amount of rep in Crucible before you can even unlock competitive?
Yeah.
I think you could do that. Like your
well, that's where the glory would come in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, or make it to where you have to beat the campaign of the newest expansion or something, where you have to beat a campaign of some sort. Like you're gonna have to go through all the shit and Beyond Light in order to do this. Mm-hmm. Like there are safeguards you can put up, and I mean it won't be anything to veteran players or to people who are already playing this. Right. It is simply to set up from preventing brand new players from jumping into it.
Right.
Or which may discourage them from ever trying it all together. Like, I got to do all this bullshit. I don't want to go do it. Mm-hmm. But I think it'll prevent people from being able to create burner accounts and jumping in and doing it anyways, just to grief people.
Right.
Like, you're never going to get 100% of them out of this game. That is the sad, unfortunate fact about this. But you can get a lot of them out if Bungie takes steps on their servers and if they take things player side. Mm-hmm. There are steps you can do.
Yeah.
That's where I stand. Like, yeah, you need paywalls of some sort.
Yeah.
But taking Crucible away from free to play, no way.
Mm-hmm.
That is fundamentally the wrong way. And I mean, sure, is it possible that they shift over to free to play Crucible? There is. I don't know what to tell you at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Like, griefers are gonna grief no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's part of the world that we live in, and that's on Bungie. That's on Bungie to develop better anti-cheat and better DDoS protection, and I don't know, or things like that. Like we've seen, they've been able to make a lot of adjustments server side lately. Can they keep that going though?
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess I don't know. I think it's a good idea to keep the competitive stuff behind paywalls and then like regular Crucible free to play. I think that's perfectly fine.
I do too, because you still got the rotating playlist and things like that.
Yeah.
But Corey, you know what time of the week it is.
It is time for Lore Corner.
Going to the Lore Corner, baby. We're going to Lore Corner.
Going to Lore Corner.
We're going to talk about Crow this week. He's obviously, as we saw from the trailer, he's going to have a presence in this season. Him and Osiris both are. And this is a really good moment that we get between them. This was something that was put up on Bungie.net this week. I hope it eventually gets published in one of these books. I just, at this point, I feel like they should just make a Grimoire anthology from Bungie.net.
Yeah.
called From One Exile to Another.
Before you read this, how many of these are on Bungie.net? How long have they been dropping these lore? I feel like it's been a while now since they've been dropping this.
Years. It's been several years.
Like
back since before Destiny 2 launched, I think.
Okay, maybe I never really read the TWAB. Really, I would just talk about it with friends online. You know, I never really read it until, probably 6 months ago. So, well.
No, they've been doing these
longer
forever.
than that, I guess.
Yeah, they've been doing these for a very long time. I wish I still had the bottle from that warlock. I've never been drunk before, that I recall anyway. Crow scruffed his feet, leaving wide trails amidst the dry pine needles on the forest floor. You can drink all the ethanol you like once we're in the last city, chirped Glint. I'm sure it's readily available there. He whirred quietly, cross-referencing all mentions of alcohol in his database. On second thought, I advise caution. Crow snorted. You usually do. The new guardian and his ghost watched the sunset over the rugged tree line of the EDZ. In the pine-scented stillness, Crow was suddenly anxious. He imagined great throngs of people in the city, hundreds of thousands of people. So many people, all armed with the secret of his forgotten past. They learned what Crow himself didn't know. What else do you want to try? Glint's tone was light, but his shell flaps were furrowed in concern. We deserve to celebrate. We can do anything you want as long as, I know, Glint, I know, as long as nobody sees your face. Crow imitated the chipper, digital voice of his ghost and smiled ruefully. I wouldn't even know where to start. Food, maybe? I'm tired of everything tasting like gun oil and ether. I know just the place. A deep, languid voice floated out of the forest behind him. Crow whirled, hand on his sidearm, ready to draw. He relaxed as the grizzled warlock Osiris stepped forward from the shade of his pine trees. It's called the Drunken Noodle. Osiris's normally dour tone bordered on levity. Order the Long Boy Special. It's delicious. I've seen pictures of Noodle, Crow said doubtfully. They look like worms. Osiris smiled beneath his cowl. We need to talk about how you're going to get into the city. Our first priority is getting you some new clothes. Crow looked down at the sigil of the spider and blazoned across his chest. Yeah, probably a good idea. I have new gear for you aboard my ship. Osiris beckoned the pair back into the forest. You can change while we wait for nightfall. As Crow followed in the warlock's footsteps, he once again imagined the crush of the city. He could feel the weight of humanity pressing in around him, the mass of flesh and accusing eyes, the looming walls closing in. Crow's rumination was broken as they stepped forward from the trees into a clearing with a beat-up jump ship parked in the center. Osiris paused at the foot of the loading ramp and turned to face Crow. There will come a time when your identity, your past, can no longer stay hidden. Crow felt a tightness in his chest as he imagined the whole city, all of humanity, staring at him. And when that time comes, the warlock continued, remember this moment. From one exile to another, you can trust me. They clasped hands, and for a fleeting moment, Crow wondered if he might find acceptance after all. I love the mental image of Crow thinking that ramen is a bunch of worms.
Yeah, I know.
That's
so
amazing.
Funny.
He's being steered to a shop that Cade himself probably frequented.
Probably, yeah.
Setting up the further parallels between the two.
Yeah.
You have to think that Crow's going to find out about his past as Uldren this season.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with that tease in space at the end of the Scorn and the floating Cabal ship and Osiris saying there's no light out here, blah, blah, blah. We know Osiris found something out in darkness.
Yeah.
And we knew about that back at the end of Season of the Worthy, or during Season of the Worthy, but we don't know what he found. To this day, we don't know what him and Sagira found.
Right.
So I'm curious. And how does Mara play into all this? Like that, this ultimately raises a lot more questions than you think it does at first glance. It's one of those things like, I would have loved to have seen this as a cutscene, but I understand we have limitations on what we can do for cutscenes these days, especially when it doesn't feature our character.
Right.
It's not a tease for a season. Like, do we really need one where they're talking about ramen?
Yes.
And Crow is getting changed?
Yes. Yes, we do.
He's the next vampire lady.
Right.
They're gonna. Did you see that? I know they had to tell us how tall Keitel is.
Yeah.
Because people were asking, and like the Bungie community managers were just tweeting. They're like, didn't think that was going to be a question I had to go to the lore team for today.
Did you see it? Did you see though? It said we heard you like tall ladies, and I retweeted from the Tower Casuals. I was
died.
like, as long as she steps on us.
Oh my! I hate you so much.
No, you don't. You love it.
I hate you so much. The Control account had to reply to that as well. They said, please stop asking us how tall Jesse is. I'm like, oh my god. The other one that we're gonna read is gonna come from the Tangled Web lore book. This is the lore piece that you get for finishing the Harbinger mission with all 3 people running Hawk Moon and not taking it off for the whole mission, which, by the way, is an awful experience if you're not good with hand cannons. The ether pipes were howling. Spider sat hunched to one side of his throne, head in hand, when Crow returned from the field. Baron, Crow addressed his ostensible benefactor. Spider looked up and wordlessly beckoned the light bearer over. Upon reaching the throne, Crow took a knee. What was it we talked about before you left? Spider's rhetorical question sat like a weight of stones on Crow's shoulder. Crow didn't look up, and when he started to answer, Spider cut him off. Guardians can't be trusted, was Spider's reminder. They can be useful, they can be powerful, but never trusted. Baron, I only thought to... No, Spider bellowed. You didn't. If you thought about anything, you wouldn't have exposed... But Spider caught himself, words turning into a snarled grumble as he laid back in his throne. You screwed up. Crow, head bowed and eyes fixed on the floor, said nothing. He knew Spider's anger, knew his displeasure, and knew his wrath. He held no desire to face it again. But maybe there's some... The Spider hesitated and chose his words carefully. Wisdom in your defiance. The Guardians are too good a resource to cast aside, especially on matters beyond our mutual expertise. It was only then that the Crow looked up questioningly. For a moment he felt humbled, pride. Perhaps he believed that an act of defiance had broken through to Spider. Revealed Crow was more than a convenient light bearer. The Spider held out one hand. I have an idea to protect you. His offer sounded sincere, even if Spider meant his investment and not Crow as a person. Send Glint over. Crow grew tense, looked away, and thought better of testing another act of defiance so soon. With a nod, he showed his compliance as Glint manifested at his side. The ghost fixed on Crow with a nervous look, then flew up to Spider. What do you require? Glint asked. Instead of answering, Spider snatched Glint out of the air with one hand. Glint shrieked and Crow stood swiftly, but just as swiftly he saw the arc pikes of Spider's guards thrust at him. Spider made a clicking noise in the back of his throat and reached for a set of tools nearby. Tools used to pry open the shells of dead ghosts. They would work on living ones just as well. What are you doing? Glint demanded, fear in his voice. Crow stood frozen, having faced Spider's punishment before, but this was his ghost. A part of Crow also feared that perhaps he was misreading the situation. He was so certain that Spider would never do anything to permanently hurt him. But when the Spider shocked Glint into paralysis with a small needle tool, Crow was disabused of that certainty. Stop! Crow cried as Spider wedged a flat tool between Glint's shell plates. No! With a snap, Spider popped one of the casings off. Then he looked up to Crow and switched tools. Don't worry, Spider said in soothing reassurance that flowed like ice through Crow's veins. I'm just going to make some modifications, he said, igniting a cutting torch, to better protect you from the world.
That's where he put the bomb inside of Glint, right?
That's the bomb inside of old pulled pork. This to me, this clearly sets up that we're going to kill Spider at some point. I feel like us and Uldren, Crow, at some point are going to team up and take down Spider, whether it's in a dungeon or in a raid or something. Spider is going to die. That feels like the only natural conclusion to his story, but I feel like it won't be until we sunset the Tangled Shore or until we're getting close to the end of the story. I still think that Spider has a role to play, as we saw this season. He's had a lot to do in the lore this season. But after you go do the High Celibate mission and you go back and you talk to Crow for the first time after that and you tell him, it's dead, like y'all did it, this and that, he affirms that after he's left Spider, he affirms that the bomb has been taken out of Glint. He watched it happen himself. The bomb's been removed, this and that. I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think he's waiting and he's going to use like a dead man switch at some point. That, if we kill Spider, he kills Glint. and there's going to be a choice that has to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very curious to see what happens here. But this is an example of this is great storytelling, and I wish there was a way for us to see these as CG cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been so good as one. Like, I feel like we should have been able to see a flashback to Crow. Like, maybe when we encounter Crow and, you know, we're bargaining with Spider, Crow has a flashback to this. We're negotiating his freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like this whole scene, but of like Glint being tortured essentially and having a bomb put into him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we understand that, because that's something I don't know if it's ever explicitly said. I think it's mainly implied through the lore that he's got a bomb in him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm very curious about that. And I'm curious to see if there's any new dialogue after I finish getting all the feathers and Harbinger. I got 19 more I need to collect next week to get Crow's ship.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not done with Spider yet. We're definitely going to be back there before the end of the year. Before we take on Savathun, I have no doubt.
This feels like a
face off with Spider.
This feels like a end of season 3 or season 14 type thing.
Yeah. This feels like something that we'll probably be hitting in like July or August.
Yeah.
Preparation.
Because it doesn't feel like the end of a expansion thing. It feels like an end of a season thing, but not this season, right? Because we got so much more to learn about Crow and Osiris, and obviously
I feel like this is one of the natural endings of the current storyline that we're on with Crow.
Yeah.
Is that eventually we're going to have to do something about Spider, whether it's humbling him or like terrorizing him into not calling us anymore.
Especially if Crow's going to end up staying at the tower at some point, right? Because wasn't that bomb placed in Glint to keep him as Spider's servant?
Yes.
So,
but it's been confirmed to have been removed. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm very curious.
Yeah. I'm curious too. But man, Lore Corner keeps getting better, dude.
Man, it's getting so good. Like, I know we took deviation from the letters from Cade this week, and we may get back to those at some point later on. But I feel like we've kind of said all we need to about Cade, unless something like suddenly comes up with relevance to him again. That was mainly to fill a, frankly, very not heavy lore run that we had. You know, we covered all the story from Beyond Light. We covered some of the Tanic stuff. Like, that's part of why we went back to the letters about Cade, is so much of it's about Tanics, too.
Yeah.
But we're now getting into Crow, and I really want to tackle some of the Cabal stuff this next season. Specifically, I want to talk about Callus.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what we know about Callus, because we never did get the Callus back in the summer when I was planning these out. So we've got some Callus ones written. We're going to do some stuff about Kaido. And, of course, you know, whatever seasonal lore comes along, too, like about her lieutenants. You know, like what the hell's going on here? You know, did Xivu Arath influence things? You know, I'm sure there's going to be another lore drop probably tomorrow. So you're listening to this, it might be out already, or there'll be one on Monday.
Yeah.
Potentially even Tuesday. They've been known to throw them up right as the season goes live, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that's the corner for this week.
This is going to be a good season. I feel it. I feel it.
So I really hope so. Break the streak of not having good content in the spring.
Yes, please. Please.
And this is, I think, without a doubt, this and Season of the Hunt are the two that were actually developed from home. So as long as Season of the Hunt is not a precursor for what is to expect the rest of the year, because they say they work several seasons in advance. So like the stuff for Season of Chosen was probably finalized back in like September, and they've just been doing touch-ups, bringing, you know, deciding to bring certain weapons back, things like that. Maybe I personally think the ones that they're going to throw into the playlist activities, the 2, and 2, I think those were probably pulled from a future season, honestly. So they're probably having to work overtime trying to get more weapons built, because they're still building an expansion. They're building an entire expansion at home right now with Witch Queen.
Yeah.
And,
which is crazy to think about right now.
Yeah, it's, you know, this season, summer season, fall season, launch season, like they're still doing these. They're trying to revamp these events. And when I see what they're going for with this season, after the trailer, after the TWAB, after the breakdown on Bungie.net, I have a lot of faith in this. I think Battlegrounds are going to be fun. Yeah. I want to see how they evolve the helm over the next couple of seasons, because I don't think this is going to be a one season thing. This just makes, as long as we're not doing it every season, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen, not every single season has us doing stuff for the Vanguard. You know, Season of Dawn was doing stuff for Osiris the entire time, and then for Saint in the back half.
Right.
This season had nothing to do with the Vanguard. The seasonal activity, the hunts, nothing to do with the Vanguard, outside of us saving Osiris and talking to Zavala about it once.
Yeah.
Season of Arrivals, on the other hand, really dealt with the Vanguard. Well, dealt with kind of the Darkness Vanguard, with Eris and with Drifter. You know, it dealt with them. And season of the Worthless. You know, dealt with us. You know, Zavala and Ana teaming up again, like they did in Warmind. The only question, this is the final thing I'm going to say before we get out of here tonight. I saw a post on Reddit, and I want to get your thoughts on this one, Corey. Is it time to recast Gina Torres as Ikora? Because I want you to think, when is the last time we had a meaningful story beat with Ikora?
I mean, what a story beat? Like a full expansion with Ikora?
No, like I'm talking. Well, we've never had that. I'm talking like fucking spoken dialogue. I'm talking cutscenes.
I mean, we had a little bit in Awoken, or the season of Arrivals. I mean,
we had not much though.
I mean,
like look at how much we're getting with other NPCs, how much we're getting with Drifter, how much we're getting with Zavala, how much Banshee had a whole bunch of fucking stuff this year. Like, we're not even getting dialogue chunks from her anymore.
No, I mean, what we have Crow and Osiris now with Zavala instead of Ikora. Like, what is she even doing right now?
Yeah, you have Crow, you have Osiris, you have Zavala. We're getting stuff from Saint still. Like, maybe it's not huge story beats, but we're getting stuff from Saint. Drifter had a ton to do with Season of Arrivals. Same with Eris.
Where is Ikora right now?
Ikora is still sitting in the tower, the same place she's been since the day we retook it.
But there's
right next to Hawthorne.
There's no
between Hawthorne and Osiris.
Right, but there's no story reason for her not to be talking to anybody, right? I didn't think so, but like that's
it's been alluded to that, you know, they have problems scheduling some of the actors, and that's ultimately part of the reason why Nathan Fillion left the franchise and why they killed off Kate. Nathan simply couldn't do it. I don't want them to kill Ikora off, because Ikora's basically had fuck all to do in Destiny 2. We hear about her stuff in lore, or we hear about it in chunks of dialogue on screen, but when's the last time we actually had to go to Ikora? We don't even go to her for bounties anymore. She's just standing there. Like, she is effectively as useless as Hawthorne right now, which is a damn shame. Like, she is the most powerful member of the Vanguard.
What is she doing right now? Is she doing some... She's doing something on... she's doing something on Fox, I think. Some kind of cop show.
Oh, Gina Torres. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I saw this brought up, and it was like, the way it was worded was really hostile, I think. But it was basically like, Bungie, the community deserves an explanation of why we don't get any story beats with Ikora. The last time we really got anything with her was in Shadowkeep. And even that, really, there wasn't that much. Like, y'all alluded to, you had to do...
And it was really only that beginning of that season.
Yeah. Well, the Salvation's Grip quest in Beyond Light, they alluded to they were going to have Nolan North impersonate Drifter's voice because they couldn't get the Drifter actor. And I'm like, so you couldn't get him for one or two VO sessions, but Gina Torres has been like MIA for a year and a half.
Yeah. And
I mean, like, I understand, like, hey, you know, maybe part of it's the pandemic, you know, like maybe she doesn't have a setup like Lance Reddick does. I feel like at that point you would have shipped her the equipment though. Like, I hate to speculate on people's futures in the franchise, because especially when it seems like they really enjoy what they do, but I think there's a clear difference in the way that Lance and Nathan interacted with the community versus the way that Gina does.
Yeah. I feel like
there's a difference with how Ana does. I mean, how Eris does.
I feel like you would notice if Lance Reddick left as opposed to Gina Torres, though. Like, she doesn't have like a...
I like Gina. I want to be real clear. I really like Gina Torres.
I do too. I do too. I think she does a great job as Ikora. But like, if Lance Reddick left as Zavala, you would notice, right? I don't know if a lot of people would really notice if you recast Gina Torres, right? Like,
right.
I think people noticed a little bit when they recast Cade for Forsaken, right, as Nolan North. But Nolan North does a great Nathan Fillion impression.
I mean, Nolan North is one of the best in the business for a reason, right?
Yeah. Maybe they'll just put him as Ikora.
I just think about some of the stuff that they do with Lance Reddick. I mean, like, you look at how busy that guy is, and you are...
He loves Destiny, though. Like, he loves it. Like, Zavala.
He's always posting pictures of him playing the game. Like, he records the dialogue in his closet, for God's sake. Like, even though he's got a full-time day job.
Mm-hmm. Although he's playing on base PS4, though.
Somebody send that man a PS5.
Yeah, seriously.
Do that. Bungie, build him a PC or something. Like, this dude is out here evangelizing for your game. I just think about it. It's a question that I never really pondered before now, but that I think we have to start having a discussion about.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be good as Ikora and enjoy this universe and still recognize that for the betterment of the game and for the storylines of your character, you need to step down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they recasted Anna Bray, and I don't know if I like the new one or the old one better, frankly, but there wasn't a massive difference to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I didn't even notice.
Completely used to the new one now. I definitely noticed, but they went back and re-recorded all the old dialogue. And now I feel like you don't really have to do that. You might have to replace the stuff in Forsaken and Shadowkeep, but that's like 2 days of recording, maybe tops.
Yeah. Shadowkeep would be like what, a couple hours, maybe.
Forsaken would literally be like a cutscene.
Yeah.
The cutscene after Cade dies.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, other than that, it was pretty much all done on screen. Like, it was just, again, text chunks. It's not like Lance Reddick. I mean, like, you go up and talk to Zavala at the beginning of the season. He's got a voiceover and everything. He's narrating trailers, all this other stuff. Like, he's in all these cutscenes, and it's just, you've brought Osiris back. Maybe it's time to, just write Ikora out of the story for a little bit. Like, she's going to find Mara Sov or something.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Eris are journeying to find Mara, so they're going to be gone, and Osiris is going to take her place for now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give us something. Like, at least with Hawthorne, it's just like, well, I mean, that's another question I'm having to answer lately is, who the fuck is she? Because the base campaign isn't there anymore, so it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's just, when Amanda Holiday has more dialogue than you, I think it's a problem.
Right.
When Saint 14 is talking more to me when I don't even play Trials than you are, that's a problem. Tess talks more, even though it's the same line she's been saying for 4 years. It's so bad. Like, give her story beats the Shax or something, or even the... God, we have fucking rotational characters like Salad Bowl talking more than you. Like, this is bad. I'm going to sit here complaining about this if we keep talking about it, but I wanted to get your take on that though, because
look, I wouldn't like I said, her voice isn't distinct enough to, like, you couldn't get somebody who's halfway decent at imitating, right, to replace it, right? I mean, a lot of people didn't even know Nathan Fillion was replaced in Forsaken, right? I feel like
I did not know that until like 6 months later.
Yeah, but again, Nolan North is the best in the business for a reason. Right. I feel like if you took, like I said, if you take that iconic voice of Lance Reddick out, you would notice. If you took out, I don't know. I feel like that's like the one that you couldn't really replace, right? It's Lance Reddick.
Lance, it's funny that Lance has become that guy when for so long it was Nathan.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, but like the whole story behind like Nolan North going to go do the Drifter's voice was hilarious. He did it so spot on that they changed the entire storyline and had Ghost narrated instead.
Yeah.
And I think that made for one of the funnest experiences in the series.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Like, I want stuff like that. Like, that's hilarious to be like, Crow and Glint's banter is great in the High Settlement mission.
Yeah.
It's great in the Hawkmoon mission. It's like, I love this. I want more of this. And if it means we got to replace a character, then so be it. If it means we got to replace an actor, ultimately.
Yeah.
I'll never advocate for somebody losing their job, but this universe is growing. It's been 1.5 years since we heard anything out of Ikora.
Yeah.
She didn't even talk to us during Beyond Light, and I'm pretty sure that Ikora would be worked up about us using the darkness.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, it's time, I feel like.
Just I mean, even if she's just doing insect-like chattering, just have her do something, right?
Yeah.
So you get the Varric's voice actor in there to do some chattering for her.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's enough people out there that could do that and be fine. So, yeah, I miss Ikora, honestly.
I do too.
So, especially like you would think with Osiris being back too, like her mentor, right? They would have some interaction.
You would hope so.
Besides just passing each other on the hallway down to get bounties from the drifter. But well, Josh, is there anything else we need to?
No, I think that's it. Let's get out of here before I find anything else to talk about.
I know,
We've
man.
gone. This is our longest one in a while.
I know. I actually took a lot of show notes. Honestly, I took a lot of. That's my new thing now, Josh. I'm trying to do timestamps for people, right? So they can, skip ahead if they don't want to listen to something. But you should listen to the whole show. It's here for a reason. Yeah, anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Remember, you can find Tower Casuals live on Thursday nights on twitch.tv/CorianHD. Josh and I come here every week to talk about Destiny. Little heads up, probably in about 6 or 7 weeks, Josh is going to take over the show for about a month or so because my kid's coming. And you will see a lot of familiar faces from the Tower Casuals LFG, maybe some new ones, maybe some different ones. So just keeping you posted. Josh, Where can we find you?
As always, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. Write to me with your show notes. Write to me and tell me that you think I am an idiot for my stance on Trials of Osiris being behind a paywall and the rest of Crucible being free. And also, tell me what you think about the community saying, hey, Bungie, you need to deal with 3-peaking in Trials. And then they're like, loud and clear, heard you, here's a sword. So let me know what you think about that, because I want to have a discussion about that once they put the sword up for grabs.
You can find me at IamCorianHD on Twitter. You can find me at CorianHD on Twitch. Check out my new podcast, Standard Definition. Really appreciate you checking that out. Rate us, review us, wherever you listen to us. Give us some 5 stars. Give us that thumbs up. Subscribe, all that stuff. I want to thank everybody for watching. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.